chemical engineering and leadership, a highly relevant technical domain and an essential non technical skill. What happens when you put the two together? Amrit Raj spent his undergraduate years leading his department council at IIT Bombay and is now an area manager at BPCL handling the entire northeast of India. He's our guest today and he'll be sharing his journey and all of his experiences, which are riddled with invaluable lessons. So, without further ado, let's tune in.
Thank you so much, Maitri, for such introduction. And hello everyone. I'm Amrit, and uh, I was a chemical. Uh, I'm just a chemical engineering graduate. I graduated last year in 2025, and along with honors, I did honors as well in chemical engineering. So I was much involved during my college days. I was much involved in student representation and uh, kind of things which we do as a class monitor in our primary schools. So I was in such kind of roles, and yes, finally I became the GSEC in my final year, and now after that I got selected into BPCL, and I'm now serving as the area manager of Northeast in Guwahati, currently posted at Guwahati. I'm looking into the bulk business, especially for these petroleum products. They include a lot of things, and where having a background of chemical engineering definitely gives an upper edge to me, at least I can say that. So that was my brief introduction. I will invite Maitri for
Yeah,
our
that
next
was
question.
awesome. In fact, Amrit is very right when he's been describing how his work has been going over the past few months. He's gotten the opportunity to travel and make a lot of big business decisions, especially in the Northeast, and which is extremely amazing to see. So, Amrit, you mentioned your undergraduate days, which, as I've seen firsthand, you've been extremely helpful as the General Secretary of the Chemical Engineering Department and in your various roles leading up to that. So, what exactly would you say that experience taught you, which you might have taken into such a leadership role that you currently have?
Okay, so this the major thing was that I would love any responsibility that I am given. Let's say what firstly was much motivating for me was that I was the only person who had received zero negative vote in the history. So
That is
when
true,
when
yes.
when your batchmates give you that compliment, I would say it as a compliment. So after that, it is now my responsibility that I have to do something, and I have to always brainstorm what else can be done, how we can make this. Maybe class note sharing and maybe rescheduling the classes and everything, and such things I was always the main motivation to all do all these was that result of zero negative vote. Even I was shocked how can this happen. Yes, but slowly I went into that role where I was leading a team, and many juniors were also working with me, and that definitely gives you confidence to lead a major role. Right now, I am handling the entire Northeast and even some parts of Bhutan exports as well. So that is actually challenging, and generally it is given to much experienced people in, in this industry. But they gave it to a fresher, and that was also you can say a symptom of trust. You can say that
Hmm.
they had shown on me. So I take it
Right.
this
Yeah, I mean,
responsibility.
based on your entire experience that we've seen and everything you described, yes, I mean, I would say you definitely deserve to be in such a role right now with how you carried out your duties in the department as well. So, with that responsibility, then, the way you're describing that you're in charge of this entire, conglomerate, how exactly would a typical workday in your life look like? What would you be doing?
Okay, my typical work day looks like I'm taking almost 150 to 200 calls daily, and yes, actually
Wow.
initially it was. it was little irritating for me that, but I had similar experience of having so much of calls or messages being the GSEC. So it was something similar role. That's why I survived. But generally, people want to escape this way. I generally start my day. There is flexibility in that marketing role that you can start your day according to your will. I mean, it's not like 9:30 you have to get into the office and 5:30 you have to leave the office. So I love that flexibility that is given in this role. So I can start my day maybe earlier or maybe later, and based on the responsibility, and especially I start by looking into what my remaining tasks of last day was. Like from a supply, if I take an example of diesel, let's say there
Hmm.
I have to supply, I have to start the business of diesel with some particular client or customer, you can say. Then first thing is getting the licenses or the compliances done. So I do approach them. I do offer them what are the commercials. I do discuss any techno-commercial part as well. I do discuss the you can say that quality control report and details of such chemical engineering parameters. You can say pour point. You can say viscosity. In case of bitumen, we discuss also the viscosity grade and all. So after such discussions, we finally come to a conclusion that whether we can get into that deal or not. And then when it is finalized, then we start with the process of inducting that customer. And then finally, there are many office works, and typically I am out of office almost 20 days a month.
Wow, that is
Or
insane.
since my area is such vast, you can say, and vibrant also, it has at least 70 plus tribes, and seven states are there. Arunachal is very beautiful, and I have to go to army locations. I have even visited the locations which are not accessible to normal public, and so typical day in my life would be more into a visit than into a in an office. In an office, I do that office work and what are the backgrounds required for every visit. And after that, I generally, most of the time you will find me on a visit, either in Arunachal or in Meghalaya or in, yesterday I was in Shillong, and I also got chance to visit Cherrapunji, the place which receives the highest rainfall in the world. So, so such kind of
Wow.
things are, and right now we are also working on providing uh, petrol pump to army, which will be the highest in the world. So that is
Wow,
also
that
one thing.
yeah. That sounds
And now
really
to look,
interesting. I think there's a lot of very high impact kind of work that you seem to be doing in these regions.
yeah, you can say that ensuring the supply chain is almost ensuring supply chain of fuel and lubricants is the crucial thing. Since during any emergency or any war situation, that will be the most crucial. If these supply chains are not maintained, then all the artilleries, equipment, all fighting guns and trucks, tanks, everything will be just
Hmm.
like a toy if if the
Right.
uh, fuel supply is not maintained to those locations. So that is a very crucial. And apart from defense, we also supply to, let's say, many daily use customers. Like you must have been using that good night
I'm sure most of
oil.
us do, yeah.
So their solvent, we also have been supplying to them at some of their plants, and then Maxo, and then you must be using budget paints. So we supply them mineral turpentine oil for making that paint. So such things are, and every associated work to ensure that supply happens is basically my task that I do daily.
Right. So it sounds like the kind of work that you're doing is very high stakes that are involved. And as you mentioned, the fact that you've been given such a role right coming out of college. Leading on from your experience as being general secretary in the institute, and also with all the coursework that we've done in our undergrad, What would you say would be the most important hard and soft skills that have kind of helped you, carry out your duties pretty well?
Okay. In my case, I'm actually since it is see there are various divisions of Bharat Petroleum, and I am especially in INC, industrial and commercial, where I have to generally my uh, meetings are scheduled with niche people who are also involved in decision making of procurement and quality control, such kind of things. And my meetings are generally very niche, and in this is definitely where I represent my company. The most important skill that I feel is important for this is you can say interpersonal skill and the ability to differentiate between how to talk with different stakeholders. Like you can say that starting even from drivers of truck drivers, they are also one stakeholder that I may have to interact with them sometime. And there may be a director or chairman of some company with whom I need to interact over various meetings. So that difference is very, you can say, drastic, and so that contrast I have to understand and appreciate. So that skill, I think I have learned a little bit during my tenure as area manager here. So I think that matters the most in my role. And yes, something like what we say, either we will make a way or either we will find a way or we'll make one. So that is also one of the major uh, things or major mindset or temperament that is required to do this kind of job. Since there will be landslides in my area, it is famous for landslides,
Hmm.
and I was stuck in landslide few days back. So
Oh
and I had
dear.
to go to somewhere. Yeah, yeah. That happened, and it there are lots of challenges to supply chain, and this is one of them which no one can control. And but what things matter is how fast we can communicate with the on ground stakeholders and to
Hmm.
ensure that supply begins as soon as possible. So that is one of the things. So my major
Right.
skill would be, I would say, it is interpersonal as well as a right temperament, building a right temperament, skill to have a right temperament. That I would say. Yeah.
Right. That's really interesting, Amrit. I think the skills that you highlighted are very nuanced skills that you don't always get to hear from people when they talk generally. So that was really insightful to hear. So when you're speaking to different stakeholders in the different contexts that you mentioned, in your experience, what are the biggest challenges that each of these customers face?
Okay. The biggest challenge would be, I would say, uh, challenge in the sense like the depend over dependency on uh, foreign nations, or you can say
I see.
the foreign contributors. Uh, uh, let's say even we can take the example of bitumen. All these are made from crude oil, and recently the Brent crude price was more than 130, almost 130, near to 130, and in normal days it used to be in 50s or at max at 60s. So you can say it is almost more than double, and due to which every prices went drastically up. The landing price of diesel went almost till 170, uh, but uh,
Oh.
but 170, yes. So we used to supply that much in terms of bulk supplies. For the bulk supply, we used to keep that rate only, 170. But for normal public, it was mandated at normal rates like 90s or hundreds. So normal public would not have felt it directly, but indirectly it was about to impact the whole market. Let's say if we are supplying to some cement industries
Hmm.
uh, do do run clinker plant, they do excavations, they do mining of limestone, and such are very diesel intensive uh, uh, tasks, and so they require diesel. So any change in the price of diesel will definitely impact the price of cement, will definitely
Right.
impact the price of hair oil that you use, or
Hmm.
or even the mosquito repellents, the toothbrush that you use. And I would also say the very famous companies like if you eat biscuit, then LPG is used to bake that biscuit. So there are major industry who take LPG from us, and the escalated price will definitely impact the actual market price. So this, I think, the major problem with industries with our customer that is will be that the over reliance over the foreign stakeholders or the foreign contributors. So, if somehow we could be uh, uh, self-reliant or near to self-reliant, that would have helped a lot in terms of reducing the impact of foreign geopolitical situations. And I think E20 ethanol blending is one of those measures which is being taken by government to start
Right.
to be close to self-reliance. So that is
Hmm.
one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think these measures, as you mentioned, are very encouraging when, as a country, we're trying to be more self-reliant in our resources and manage our resources better in terms of optimal usage. So, speaking of usage of resources optimally, how would you say that the conversation of sustainability that's pretty prevalent today, how is that changing the industry based on your point of view?
So sustainability in particularly in if I say about oil sector or FOL sector. So we always only talk about scope 1 and scope 2 emissions because we cannot control scope 3
Right.
else there will be no use of those. So firstly, sustainability, yes, it is being indulged at various stages, starting from the refineries and till the last supply chain. Many industries, many oil marketing companies now are also working on green hydrogen projects, and uh, they have been given targets by the competent authority to reduce their or to have some renewable share of energy that they are supplying. So yes, it is transforming itself. At least for my company, it is transforming itself from this fossil fuel based industry to into renewable, and especially it is working on generating that hydrogen based green hydrogen it is about to produce, and few plants
Right.
are already being set up in Bharat Petroleum.
That's really encouraging to hear, Amrit, that a PSU or the oil sector itself is transitioning into these kind of sustainable practices and leaning into the green hydrogen perspective of things. As we saw recently, there is also a green hydrogen train that's been announced. So it's very nice to see that our countries leaning into that. We're
Yes.
now almost reaching the end of this episode. So, Amrit, as we take your leave, what would you say is the best career advice that you have ever received, or maybe you've read or given to someone?
uh, Best would be that I had received from someone. It was to always have a plan B, but have your major focus on plan A for the career. And yes, reliance on something on just one thing will uh, may not give you enough exposure. Like always, you can have a taste of let's say supply chain, let's say marketing, and even refinery as well. So always have that role in your mind. Like my company always offers. There are various companies who offers that much vibrant roles where you have to be uh, some kind a little engineer, a little manager, a little uh, supply chain expert, and so such vibrant things always help you to get to learn things better, and yes, that inculcating the new developments and the recent developments, like how the AI is being used at various stages. And we had our project which was somewhat of using that models of neural networks
Yeah.
to model that oil rig production of crude oil. So so adoption of such things in real life will always be helpful and will always give you an upper edge to the recent developments. So that I would say was the best career advice that I had received. Yeah.
Oh, that is extremely very sound advice, and I like that you mentioned we always need to have a plan B because plan A may not always work out, but then give everything you can to your plan A and try to make it work out as well as you can. And as you mentioned in your case also, figuring out in which context what kind of communication works, what approaches work, and thinking on your feet and being able to make all these high stake decisions. I think those are extremely important takeaways from this particular episode. So, with that, we come to an end. Amrit, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure all of your insights and valuable advice and experience would have been extremely, extremely useful to all of our viewers. Thanks to everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.